The following is an excerpt from Unconstrained, the constraint-led approach to learning martial arts and beyond, by Kevin Secours, available on Amazon worldwide. The concept of constraint-led education focuses on learning how to learn to move. It was significantly influenced by the work of the Soviet psychologist Nikolai Bernstein. While Bernstein didn't develop his ideas within the CLL framework, his theories provide valuable insight into a shared view of how movement is organized, controlled, and learned. A central tenet of Bernstein's theory is the concept of degrees of freedom. He proposed that the human body comprises numerous joints and muscles, each with a unique potential for movement. This understanding, rather than hindering movement learning, suggests that the nervous system actively organizes and constrains these degrees of freedom to achieve efficient and effective movement. So at the heart of CLL is the idea of limitation as a necessary part of streamlining the organization of movement patterns. Another central idea inspired by Bernstein was the notion of repetition without repetition. He argued that by exposing individuals to various movement contexts and by changing conditions, they better develop more robust motor programming that can be flexibly adapted to new situations. Bernstein's emphasis was on the dynamic relationship between the individual, the task, and the environment, and he said that these profoundly shape our modern understanding of movement learning. He clarified that there are three essential steps in this learning process. 1. In the early stages, reduce the total degrees of freedom. This decreases the risks of the practitioner freezing, and it ensures that the exploration and repetition of the movement continues. For example, imagine if you were training striking and you limited them to the exploration of their lead hand only. This can be done with a physical limit to their body or through the use of an environmental limitation like working in a small space, or you could simply put a limitation on the task. 2. The second stage of learning is characterized by releasing degrees of freedom. As the practitioner gains familiarity and comfort with the task, you begin to unlock more movement potential, and you grow their available options. 3. Finally, learning is characterized by the learner utilizing and exploring the reactive forces that emerge from their interactions with the environment. Now, in that same example, we could loosen the constraints even further. We could now begin to allow free-form exploration and discovery within very broad limits. The idea of limiting focus, growing capacity, and interacting with the environment significantly influenced the development of CLL. These three stages were elements of a continuous process rather than sequential steps. We are constantly limiting and organizing our degrees of freedom based on our changes in our movements and our environments and our tasks. Therefore, the performance of any task or movement is always coupled with our perceptions, inextricably linked to how we perceive the world around us. There are specific actions that we might be able to perform during ideal conditions that would also be impossible under greater stress loads, as we'll see. Context is everything.